Kamala Harris, the vice president, just finished wrapping up her visit to Guatemala and Mexico as part of her efforts to address the migrant surge. Many are calling the trip a failure and slamming the vice president for still not visiting the southern border. But here's what Ms. Harris had to say.
Listen, I've been to the border before. I will go again. But when I'm in Guatemala, dealing with root causes, I think we should have a conversation about what's going on in Guatemala.
And this comes as southern border crossings continue to surge. Axios and Customs and Border Patrol reporting more than 170,000 border apprehensions in May and nearly 900,000 from October 1st to May 31st. It's the most crossings since 2006. Joining us now to discuss is Heritage Foundation visiting fellow and former acting GPP Commissioner Mark Morgan. Mark, thanks for joining us today. So you may have seen the interview she did the other day with Lester Holt, where she said, well, I haven't been to Europe either. And now she was obviously pressed on that yesterday, but she still kind of is laughing about it and not taking this strong stance on this.
Yeah, Allison, first of all, look, we all know that to go and meet with foreign leaders, clearly it's an important issue. And to not stop at the southwest border first, that we know is the epicenter of the cause and effect of this catastrophic crisis that this administration has caused, is absurd, and we know it's all absurd. But what's equally as disturbing is her flippant, arrogant, dismissive attitude about the crisis. And quite frankly, it's disrespectful to the men and women of the Customs and Border Protection, the largest law enforcement organization in the United States that are our frontline defenders of our nation's borders. It's absolutely offensive the way she's handling this and her comments. Look, at the same time that she's flying over the border to meet with Guatemala, the United States Border Patrol was in the middle of another funeral of a fallen agent that died from COVID in the line of duty. Over 30 since we inherited this virus from China from the Customs and Border Protection. So I find her dismissive, arrogant attitude absolutely disrespectful and irresponsible to the men and women of CBP.
Mark, what do you think she could learn by going to the border?
Look, she's going to learn firsthand that it is, in fact, a crisis. If she actually has an open mind, which clearly they've shown that they don't. And quite frankly, I hope she doesn't go to the border, because all we're going to hear is more continued spin, misdirection, and lies. But if she goes and she actually talks to the men and women of Customs and Border Protection, specifically the Border Patrol, she's going to hear about the crisis that it is. If she talks to other law enforcement, like Sheriff Martinez from Valverde, which he has 110 miles he shares with the Mexican border, and she would hear from him that is in 42 years of law enforcement, it's the worst crisis he's ever seen. And by the way, he's a lifelong Democrat. That's what she would hear, but that's what she doesn't want to hear, and that's another reason among many she's not going.
Mark, I want to get your reaction. Congresswoman Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez came out again, placing the blame game on the United States for the issues in Latin America. Take a listen.
What we as a country, what the United States has not done is actually own up to the fact that we have contributed to regime change, destabilization, and interventionist foreign policy that has contributed to these awful conditions throughout Latin America.
Your reaction?
So it's our fault.
It's a blame game, right?
Bob, exactly. It's a joke. Look, most of what AOC says is no moment to me. Look, where was she at under the Trump administration making those accusations? It's absurd. We all know it is. Where's her crocodile tears when she's standing in front of an open parking lot when nobody was there talking about the humanity? Look, it's pretty bad though, because she's even said something negative about Vice President Harris. So it's pretty bad when that's happening. Look, this is clear. This is more spin and misdirection. It's a Democratic Party not owning up and being honest with American people to accept responsibility for the catastrophic crisis that they've caused at our borders. That's harming our nation's national and economic security, and it's all in the name of politics.
Mark, correct me if I'm wrong as far as what's going on at the border, but you have thousands of people coming every day, and a good portion of those people are coming through. Some turned back, but many of them coming through and told, come back on this date and we'll have a hearing for your situation. They go into the United States, an overwhelming majority will not come back. So what stops that from happening from this administration? Because it doesn't appear as though they want that to stop or plan on stopping that.
Bob, everything you just said is absolutely spot on. I couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly right. This is by design because the Democrats right now, they have a perceived perception that they're going to get a political benefit from the open border policy. What you said is just correct. We stopped it under the Trump administration. One of the biggest loopholes is if you came to our borders with a family, you were allowed in the United States never to be heard from again. They opened that back up. They rescinded the Remain in Mexico program. Catch and release is back on. No wonder that for 3 months, back to back to back, we've seen numbers higher than we've seen in 20 years. The message is loud and clear, and not just to the northern triangle countries, but the entire world. If you grab a kid, make it to our borders, they're open to you. And what's even worse is that's on the front end. They're creating welcoming centers. But on the back end, they removed 90% of ICE's enforcement authority to lawfully deport individuals. So the other thing that's different now is everybody that you see that you just talked about that's being released right now in the United States, they will not be deported.
Yeah, and we know that from experience. Thank you very much, Mark Morgan.
Thank you.